Hi, my name is Liz Bowen. I am a realtor and the owner of Red Bow Realty here in beautiful Colorado Springs, Colorado. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about buying a home or selling a home in today's coronavirus pandemic environment. It is March 23rd, and here in El Paso County, Colorado Springs, we are encouraged to stay at home, but we do not have a mandated stay-at-home order. Now, I believe that staying at home is the best thing that you can do to limit your exposure and the exposure of others. However, there are important things that you should know about whether you can buy a home today in Colorado Springs. So the first response that I have is that yes, you can. That the government here has determined that real estate is an essential business and that buyers and sellers can leave their homes to obtain the services of those in this essential industry. So can a buyer leave his house in a city that has a stay-at-home order to go and look at property? The answer is yes. But should you leave your home to look at property is the question that I also want to pose to you. If you are ill, if you are sick, if you are certainly testing positive for COVID-19, do not leave your home. If you are feeling fine, you could, of course, still be carrying the disease. So we can't just take anything for granted. But given that information, as long as we do things to mitigate our exposure and who we expose ourselves to, yes, it is possible and certainly doable for you to buy a home in today's current environment. What's the best way to go about doing that? If you are already very comfortable using a home search app, continue to use that wonderful tool. I have a private app that I send to my clients, but there are many places online where you can search for homes. Continue to do so and to communicate via voice calls as well as video calls with your real estate professional. Video calls are an amazing way for us to maintain that face-to-face and easy dialogue with each other and have those meaningful conversations without getting our thumbs sprained and trying to text all of this information. So I believe the combination of using home search apps and video calls will help us quickly and efficiently get down to a narrowed list of properties that are the best ones for you as a buyer. I also highly encourage my buyers to do the front work, right? The upfront work of making a list of what is a want for you and what is a have to have for you. Needs versus wants lists. And I do cover this in another video, so feel free to find the video in this series that is the Rolling Stones Get the Real Estate Market. So take the time to truly understand and discuss with all decision makers what has got to be in your next home versus what you'd like to have, and make sure that you are picking homes that meet the most criteria possible. Once you get a good top 3, maybe top 5 homes, then communicate those properties to your agent and encourage that agent, like we're doing here at Red Bow, to go and take a live video tour for you. So how can this happen? Well, we can use the same video call technology and take you on a live tour of the property. What I have been doing is taking videos of properties with a walkthrough, adding my insights as I go through the property, and then posting those videos in a drive online in the cloud, and then providing a link only to my clients to view those videos. So that's another really great way that we can minimize our exposure and also minimize our touch by having video tours done of the properties that are your top 3 or 5 favorites. Again, to hopefully narrow it down to maybe your top 1, top 2. And once you've identified that one house that you think is going to be best for you, that's when we get you into the home. We'll set up a showing like we would at any other time. However, you can make this most safe for you and your family by doing some of these quick tips. Number one, only decision makers are going into the home. Please, even if your kids are home right now, don't bring children to showings. Don't bring your elderly parents to showings. Only those decision makers should be going to look at that top 1, maybe 2 homes. Don't touch surfaces in the house. Your job there is to verify what you saw on the video tour, and of course to also get that elusive feel for the home. Does it feel like home for you? And any of those other nuances that you would always pick up when you were looking at properties. Thirdly, don't stay in the home for anything longer than an appropriate amount of time. I have sat with clients in the kitchen at homes that I've been showing in past years and really talked about what they enjoyed about the home, what they didn't like. Those conversations now should be had outside of the property. We want to minimize the amount of time that we're actually in the home. Again, we don't want to touch anything in the home, and we want to try and be in and out in an appropriate amount of time. So now that you've actually gone into your top 1 or 2 properties, hopefully one of them is the right home for you, and we can, as the agent and the buyer, kind of go our separate ways and meet back on a video call to talk through your offer. Offers these days are done on electronic contract software here in El Paso County. It's very, very common for us to use these kinds of tools. So put your offer together using an electronic contract software, and you can sign electronically as well. Another really great tool that I've seen lately because of the COVID virus are great apps. There's actually several to choose from that allow you to securely get your earnest money over to the title company without writing a physical check and without having to hand it off to a person at the title company. All right, so there are apps now that will securely move your money for earnest money from your bank to the title company's trust account. So we'll utilize those as well. And when we go to the inspection phase, you don't have to be present. Instead, we can have a video summary done by the inspector and the inspector's report, which would normally be produced and provided to you as part of the inspection process. But having an inspector give you a summary on video will allow you to pick up those nuances, those nonverbal cues from your inspector, and still get that wonderful warm fuzzy without you having to be in the home for an extended period of time while we are taking care of the inspection. Again, if we can minimize the touch for you, you're safer, and the seller will feel more comfortable because the minimum number of people necessary are in the house. So once we move past that inspection phase, as a buyer, you would of course be working with your lender to make sure that you're getting all of the required documentation that's needed to your lender in a timely fashion. I would tell you that video calls and texting, phone calls are all very, very common and understandable means of communication with your lender during this process. Then as we get closer to closing, we have amazing things that are coming out now where our title companies are really stepping up to the plate and coming up with some outside of the box thinking that will help make everybody feel safer. So we don't close at the table anymore right now here in El Paso County. We wouldn't have buyers and sellers and brokers and lenders and a closer all in one room. Instead, what many title companies are doing kind of reminds me of the car hop days. I am not that old, but if you've ever been to Sonic and a roller skating waitress has come to you and brought you your food, not that title company closers will be on roller skates, but there are now many companies who will have you park your car and stay in your car while they come to you. Previous to this, you'll be emailed all of your documents electronically. And then of course, as your agent, you and I would be on the phone together on another video call, reviewing all of your closing documents. Then at the appointed time, you would drive to the closing company, the title company, park in a designated spot, and a notary closer will come out and have you sign and will notarize those documents for you. Now, the reason for that is that currently, as of today, notary services must be done face-to-face. We don't have approval for electronic notary services as of today. So a great way of basically circumventing that and still getting you what you need would be one-on-one service in the privacy and safety of your own automobile, while a fantastic closer/notary will take care of all the documents for you. At the end of your transaction then, of course, normally speaking, if you are the buyer and you had a down payment, you'd be wire transferring those funds to the title company anyway. So that process does not change. And your documents at closing would be provided to you electronically as well, sent to you via email. So all of the wonderful steps that I've outlined for you are actually part of what we're doing here at Redbow Realty to provide you with a safe real estate transaction, a touch-free real estate transaction. We call it RealeSafe. And all of these tips, techniques, and things that we're doing can also be done by any real estate agent. So feel free to ask for those kinds of services if they make you feel more comfortable during your real estate transaction. All right, let's talk about sellers for a second. Now, sellers are required to disclose, and their listing agents are required to disclose material facts about the property that would impact a buyer's decision. And a material fact about the property would be if an occupant tested positive for coronavirus. So sellers, if you have tested positive, you must disclose that. If anyone who occupies the property has tested positive for COVID-19, you must disclose that. So please understand that is not something that only psychologically stigmatizes the property. It actually, because we know the virus will stay on surfaces, could impact someone who would come to your home. So we know that that has to be disclosed, and that of course should also make buyers feel safe as well. But sellers, this is still a great time and a great market to sell your homes. How can we make you feel as safe as possible? Well, agents should, as you can tell, be limiting the number of people who would be coming into your home at any one time and explaining to those folks that they should not be touching surfaces in your home. Additionally, we know that it's important for only healthy people to be out and about right now, and only those that need this service, right? We're trying again to flatten that curve. So sellers, we as real estate professionals are doing our best to make sure that we're minimizing risk for you as well. What can you do after showings? Well, I think it would be a great idea for you to sterilize as many surfaces as possible once you have had folks in your house, and be as flexible as possible through this process. Okay, my understanding is that this really isn't a time for us to, as real estate professionals, to put any kind of blanket overreaching clauses in our contracts about how sellers would be required to extend deadlines if buyers were impacted by COVID-19. And here's why. Sellers and buyers, for the most part, in my experience, are going to do what reasonable people do to accommodate situations that come up during this process. It is a 30 to 45 day process to sell and close on a home. And when things do come up, in my experience, buyers and sellers work hard and in good faith to close the deal, right? To abide by the contract deadlines and conditions. So we are refraining here at Redbow from putting any excessive contract, additional provisions, clauses that would put any undue pressure on one party or the other. So that's another really good thing to keep in mind. Sellers, I want you to feel confident that if you're doing your disclosure responsibility, that our buyers are doing their job as well to minimize your risk, and all work in good faith with the access to amazing electronic products to get a touch-free process and get you happily closed on your home. All right, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Liz Bowen. I am a realtor and the owner of Red Bow Realty here in beautiful Colorado Springs. And what's important to you is important to me.